Per the protocol of my infant pediatric transplant center, upon the sight of the first chicken pox, I was to be immediately thrown into an ambulance, rushed down the highway, taken to the hospital, given IV medication and 24/7 nurse supervision until the chicken pox had completely cleared up. My mom didn't want to do that. My mom didn't want to do that not because she's a rebel. My mom didn't want to do that because she didn't want me growing up thinking I was any different than all the other kids on the playground. More importantly, my mom didn't want me venturing off into my adult years, constantly looking around every corner, constantly questioning when the next time was going to be that I was going to be randomly thrown into the hospital. So instead, without me knowing, my mom got on the phone and she called every single pediatric transplant center in the entire country. She even threw in some adult ones. And whoever she can get on the phone, sometimes it was the nurse practitioner, sometimes she even got the doctor themselves, she would ask this question. She just said, "Hey, what's your protocol for the chicken pox?" What she quickly found out was that the overwhelming majority, well over 85% of these transplant centers, didn't even have a protocol for the chicken pox. So many of them borderline didn't care enough to the point where they were like, maybe at best, if the child had reached 104-degree Fahrenheit temperature for more than 4 hours, we'd maybe give antibiotics, maybe. The majority of them just saw it as a natural stage of a child's life. Well, long story short, I spent 4 days breezing through the chicken pox, hanging out with my mom, eating ice cream, and playing The Legend of Zelda. And in case you're wondering, yeah, I did save the princess. Thanks for asking. AB hookshot. But bringing this back around to the front, bringing it back to the very beginning here, regardless if your child does have 10 times the cardiovascular complications than I did as a kid, or if their life is as carefree as mine was in the 90s, I know so many of us have experienced this in our lives, but I'm here to remind you, and I've traveled the country reminding people, life changes in an instant. So much so that I can guarantee you all that if something's going to happen to yourself or to the person you love, it is going to be completely out of your control. So instead of worrying about tomorrow and how event number 1 is going to impact day number 7, 12, 147, and 962, focus on today. Focus on finding the happiness in today. Focus on finding the beauties in today. Allow your children to find the happiness in today. Find their goals and the paths to get to them. You have to become smarter than your doctors. And do as my parents did and allow your child's life to dictate the course of their illness, as opposed to allowing their illness to dictate the course of their lives.